battling crisis upon crisis since last year's State of the Union address. The mounting list of controversies looming over his head ahead of the big night. The New York Post today.
Migrant crisis, gas prices, inflation, baby formula, obviously the war that's going on, classified documents, spy balloon. Goodness gracious. Yeah.
Night. The New York Post today calling out the Biden administration's latest headache of the China spy flight, the national security threat looming over Biden's speech. Another buzzkill, brutal numbers. Those polls showing the president is underwater on his handling of almost every single key issue.
The war, 51% disapprove. Excuse my coughing. Economy 61%, border 61%, immigration 61%, inflation 66%, and really, I feel like these numbers should be a lot higher. I mean, if you want to talk about the war, I mean, even if you want to dive into that, like, there's been so much, especially recently, that I've seen from folks that have shown support for Putin. Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. Like, I've like been coming across this. It's like becoming like this thing where like Americans are like posting their support of Putin. Like, hey, we have terrible leaders, but we support you. We know what's going on type situation. It's really, it's wild to come across all of these different posts, especially because the narrative is different. The narrative is that Putin is this horrible, terrible, no good, very bad person. You shouldn't trust him at all, not even a little bit. He's the worst person on this planet next to Trump. Obviously, that's the narrative that's being pushed out. And, to come across a lot of this stuff is just wild to see. So to see that only 51% disapprove, I would love to know the demographic of this poll, to see why that is there. Maybe I just live in a bubble, and those posts are just a small group that I've come across. Maybe that's the case. I don't know. Y'all can let me know if you guys have come across similar posts in the comment section. Economy should be a whole lot higher. Border security. I'm honestly surprised about this because I feel like folks on the left love this immigration situation that's going on. So to see that that high, in my humble opinion, is a little bit of a surprise. I expected it to be like in the 40s, maybe high 40s. Obviously, all Republicans, for the most part, disagree with it, but everybody on the left agrees with just open borders. So that's really, really shocking. And then inflation, obviously, that hits everybody. So I'm surprised to see that number that low. 31% of people approve. Like, who in the world is approving this? Like, they're watching the price of a carton of eggs skyrocket and like, everything's okay, everything's great. Like, what? you forgot that quick? How the price of eggs? Goodness gracious. Anyway, let's jump into this next clip I got for you guys.
President Biden delivering his second State of the Union address last night. So what did you, the American people, think when you were watching at home? Here with the top takeaways, partner and president at Maslansky and Partners, Lee Carter. Good morning, Lee.
Good morning.
Good morning. Let's play the first clip when he talked about immigration and fentanyl, which obviously is a problem. And watch these dials for you at home. It's red's Republican, blue's Democrat, and yellow are the independents.
If their families turn pain to purpose, working to end the stigma and change laws. He told us he wants to start a journey toward American recovery. Doug, we're with you. Fentanyl is killing more than 70,000 Americans a year. So let's launch a major surge to stop fentanyl production and the sale and trafficking with more drug detection machines, inspection cargo, stop pills and powder at the border.
Well, Republicans were yelling, secure the border.
They sure were. And you can see Republicans reacted by giving this a B. Democrats also gave it a B and independents a D. Now, here was what was interesting. This is a really rare moment where
GOP B, Dems B, Independents D. Wow. Wow. I mean, because, yes, he did say some credible things, but it's what Republicans have been saying this whole time, which is something that I found a bit interesting to hear him kind of say what Republicans had been saying. So now we're having to fight a different battle. And listen, I will give Democrats credit. These guys are on their game. They're on their A game. What he did there was actually quite smart. It was. Whoever's behind the scenes pulling the strings, like that was incredible. He did exactly what he should have done. He said exactly what he should have said, being on the left. Now, obviously, being on the right, you would have gone a little bit further than that. We know that. We understand that. But he said exactly what he needed to say. We need to stop this crisis from going on at the border. Now, it just so happens that Republicans had been saying that this entire time. So now he's taking over the more popular message and trying to make it his own. Guess we'll find out if it actually works or not. Or if people realize, well, Republicans had been saying this whole time. Or if people just don't care. Hey, at least he's saying it now, kind of situation. I don't know. We'll find out.
Republicans and Democrats come together and independents disagree. But what Republicans were saying is they wanted to hear him address fentanyl. They were glad to hear that he was going there. Now, they didn't necessarily like the Republican crosstalk. We heard that from both sides, and you can see that the Democrats didn't like that either.
Oh, I loved it.
But the independents were really turned off by the whole exchange, and that's one of the themes we saw for the night. The way that the Republicans behaved really did turn off a lot of independent voters.
Really?
It sure did.
And it's interesting that Republicans even told you they didn't like the cross exchange, but a lot of people I've talked to liked it, the ones who were Republicans, because they liked the fact that they had a chance.
But hey, I'm about winning the game, baby. I'm about winning the game, as I've always spoken about. So if independents are turned off by it, I'll shut up. I'll shut up. Because I want to win. The objective should be to win. And then you make sure this charades and this stupid little game never has to be played again. But you have to win first. You got to win the game. All right. So, yeah, I mean, I would tell Republicans to just stay quiet. Independents don't like it. So stay quiet.
To rebut what he was saying, they said he wasn't telling the truth.
You can see that there were a fair number of people who did. They responded.
The ones who were Republicans, because they liked the fact that they had a chance to rebut what he was saying. They said he wasn't telling the truth.
You can see that there were a fair number of people who did. They responded that. You saw the bump in the dials, they gave it a B. But when I looked at the verbatims, what people were saying over and over again was there should be some amount of decorum. You can fight back, you can slap back. There's a lot of other times and places to do it. There's other ways to do it. They just didn't like the sort of Coliseum feel that was happening last night.
It's the president's time. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, or maybe adjust the strategy a little bit. Instead of all Republicans yelling back, maybe just one, so you clearly hear exactly what it is that's being said. Because it was just kind of like a bunch of yelling. Obviously, we kind of heard what they said we got the gist of it. But maybe we strategize a little bit better, and we have one singular voice that yells out in opposition and calls out the BS. Maybe that should be the case. Hey, you're a liar. That's a lie. You know that. We all know that, kind of situation. And everybody else stays quiet. So you hear exactly what's being said. Right? And we don't have the Coliseum feeling that a lot of independents apparently were turned off by. But we also get our point across by letting the American people know he's lying. Hey, I'm all about winning, baby. Adjustments. All
right, here he was talking about inflation.
Inflation has been a global problem because the pandemic disrupted our supply chains, and Putin's unfair and brutal war in Ukraine disrupted energy supplies as well as food supplies, blocking all that grain in Ukraine. But we're better positioned than any country on earth right now. Here at home, gas prices are down $1.50 from their peak. Food inflation is coming down. Not fast enough, but coming down.
He's losing independence. I'm looking at this yellow. The yellow line is obviously independents. Red is Republican. Blue is obviously Democrat. Look how high that is. Goodness gracious. That's what's sitting at 70. Independents are what, 30, and Republicans are, just above that. 33 maybe, it looks like. But yeah, and it looks like we're heading for a downturn a little bit here.
Inflation has fallen every month for the last 6 months, while take-home pay has gone up.
You can see Democrats gave that a B-, independents a D, and Republicans an F. What we did hear from voters was, you would be surprised, you would think that Democrats might have even given this a higher grade. But in some ways, one of the voters that we heard from said, this is somewhat divorced from my reality. This is not the place that I am living in. And so part of the problem with the speech last night wasn't that it was a good speech, it was the credibility of that speech. A lot of people questioning whether or not things were true, and I think we're going to be waiting to hear how things go from here, if he's going to deliver on any of these promises or anything that he said. And I think there's going to be a lot of people who are fact-checking.
Yeah, because the American people know how much we're paying at the grocery store. They know you're paying more at the pump now than you were when he took office. So I understand that. All right, here is Sarah Huckabee Sanders. She was the Republican. She's now the governor of Arkansas, and she gave the Republican rebuttal. Listen.
Beyond our border, from Afghanistan to Ukraine, from North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk. And the president...
They were all in line, and then all of a sudden, Democrats just dropped down. As soon as they heard her say something negative about Joe. Did y'all see that? Look, watch this again.
From North Korea to Iran, President Biden's weakness puts our nation and the world at risk.
President Biden's weakness. While independents and Republicans went the opposite direction. So that's great, obviously. That's fantastic.
And the president's refusal to stand up to China, our most formidable adversary, is dangerous and unacceptable. President Biden is unwilling to defend our border, defend our skies, and defend our people. He is simply...
There was a slight dip with the border, with independents. A very, very slight dip. I saw it dipping down, and I was like, oh, crap. Oh, nope. We're still staying high with the independents, so loving it so far.
Unfit to serve as commander-in-chief.
When I was watching, I thought, I know what she's doing. Defend our border. Okay, we know that. Our skies. She's talking about China.
No doubt about it. And you can...
Compared to Joe's report card, which I think was B-, so almost a C. What was it? A D and a F. This is fantastic, if you ask me. This is fantastic.
You can see that Republicans and independents loved everything she had to say. They gave it an A. Well, Democrats, not surprisingly, gave it an F. This is sort of what you would expect, the big divide. But I'm always fascinated to see how those independents go, and they very much were in line with Republicans. This job that she did last night is a really tough one. We often say this is the hill a lot of people go on to die, right? Because you're there to attack. It's often not received very well, but it does a job. She was able to do that attack, deposition Biden and some others, and still come out looking really good to her base. So I think she did an amazing job, and the Republicans and independents agreed.
Thank you so much, Lee.
Yeah, she did a great job. Fantastic job. I actually need to watch that entire speech from her. I haven't seen the whole thing as of yet, but according to the polls, she did a good job. I won't complain about that. I will not complain about that. We have to rack up as many of these W's as we possibly can, because we are in for a fight. We are in for one hell of a fight. You even heard Joe mention providing a path to citizenship for all of these illegal immigrants. And you know who they're going to vote for. You know exactly who they're going to vote for. So we're going to be in a huge fight. Like I said before, Chuck Schumer threw it out there a few months back. Now Joe mentions it. They've just kind of sprinkled it in, I've noticed. Right? Chuck Schumer mentioned it and then went totally silent. Joe mentions it, and now I'm sure they'll go totally silent for a little while. somebody else is going to come back out and mention it, right? Nancy Pelosi or someone. I forgot the minority leader, Hakeem Jeffries. He'll probably mention it, right? Just to put it in the back of people's minds. Just sprinkle it in there. Sprinkle, 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 sprinkle. And then they turn on the hose, right? Then they let the water go and flood us with, hey, we got to let these guys vote. It's inhumane. You know, it's racist to not allow them to be able to have their voices heard, blah, blah, blah. I can see the whole thing now. But yeah, you guys, let me know what you thought about his speech last night. How do you feel about Republicans yelling out, you know, in the fashion that they did? Did that kind of turn you off a little bit? Why or why not? Do you think my strategy of just having one Republican have something to say would have been a better idea? So, you know, the message was clearly heard and it didn't give off the Coliseum kind of feel that turned off some independents. Let me know how you feel in the comment section below. Like, share, comment, hit that subscribe button before you go. Peace and love. I'm out.